Hey guys, I'm Boot. I'm here today to talk a little bit about overclocking. Before I even start this, I'm definitely a noob at, overclocking and things like that. I'm not a noob to tech. I've always been interested in tech, how things work and things like that. But when it comes to overclocking, I've always been a little bit afraid because there is that fear of overheating things. And unfortunately, I have a very meager system right now. Now I do see I have a update ready to install that just came out today. Actually, it says release tomorrow. Today is the 2nd. So let me go over to my performance and I'll show you what I got here. So right now I'm running the 5500 XT. It's the overclockable mech edition. And I'm running it with a Ryzen 7 5700G. I got it with graphics just in case my video card, shit the bed. I did have a video card for about 2 years, a 460, RX 460, and it shit the bed within 2 years. And that was pretty much my entry level into having a graphics card or anything like that. So with that said, I built my system with these things. I figure a couple years old, decent prices, and I can go from there. So I've had the 5500 XT for approximately 3 years, and it's a 4-year-old card. Not that there's any problem with that, but as you can see regularly here, I'm running a few things. I've got a window open. I've got this window open. I've also got the AMD software open, and I've got my video recording software open. So all those things are running 25% utilization. Clock speed. Now the clock speed on this is 4.3 gigahertz. Unlocked and overclocked, I can get it to do 4.5 gigahertz. The problem therein lies with the cooler. The original cooler I got with this, I believe, was the Stealth cooler, not the Spire cooler, or the, I want to say the Wraith cooler. That was the other AMD cooler. I ended up with the crappiest one of all, so I have not upgraded my cooler. So as you can see right now, the CPU temperature is fluctuating 50s and 60s under load, under some load. But we're not hitting top clock speed, and all the clocks are not clocked to the same speed. So overclocked, I ended up, overclocking this to 4.5 gigahertz for all, 8 clocks, all 8 cores. And I was getting temps in the 70s and 80s while playing games. Also, because I have an overclockable edition video card, I figured, no problem, I'll just be able to apply my overclocks in the BIOS, no big deal. So I did that. Well, this is what my gameplay footage looked like when I overclocked it with in the BIOS. So I then went back to, this is basically really potato for me. So I couldn't do that. I couldn't play this like that. That was my big problem, first and foremost. I could play it, but it just looks horrendous. So going forward, we move to the GPU. So I take the CPU and I bring it back to 4.3 gigahertz for all cores in the BIOS. And then I go ahead and I overclock my graphics card. Now my clock speed, I think, can get up to 1900 and something. I'm not entirely sure what that gets up to. But my cores on my processor are causing an immense amount of heat. So I add a couple extra fans. I add another intake and another exhaust fan, and I figured that should do the job. But as you can see, running not overclocked is a little different. So I do all my overclocking in the BIOS, and I figure I'm done. I got this thing tricked out. I get on Cinebench, and I get a decent score, a little higher than the one I had before. But I notice, that's only to test my CPU with. So at that point, I go forward and I overclock the GPU, and I go into the AMD settings and I set it all up in there with, whatever settings I can remember. And it wasn't good at all. It was still pretty bad. So I took off all the overclocking, all of it, and I just went into the software and let the BIOS's automatic flick software. I have an Asus TUF X570 with Wi-Fi, plus Wi-Fi board. So what I did was I went ahead and I took those settings and did the Asus optimizer. I went with that. I went with everything's basically bone stock. And then I went to my GPU settings, and under Hogwarts, when I go to tuning, I can go into Hogwarts' tuning, and I can overclock my GPU. And that will give me a VRAM clock speed of like 1900 or something like that, a GPU clock speed of, or maybe it's the GPU clock speed of 1900. And by doing it through the software, I'm getting this, which is completely playable, completely not an utter potato mess. So my question to you is then, even with, overclocking and the heat issues I was having, why is my GPU not picking up the slack? The smart access memory is picking up the slack. And does anybody else have the issue where smart access memory, you have to go into the BIOS multiple times and update the setting to turn it on multiple times? Because I have to do that multiple times, go into the BIOS, reset, make sure that it's on, and reset my settings back to where I have them, for my boot settings and whatnot. And, I haven't had any problems now that I've underclocked, I should say, or, standard clocked my CPU and my GPU. That's a problem for me, because overclocked, it was worse. I don't know if that was because of the heat that it was producing, that it wasn't able to cool and it started throttling, or what, but my textures looked like garbage. I mean, just look here. This is some of the old play to some of the new play, and, it really needs help, in this sense. So my question to you is in my case, I figured out overclocking was not worth it for me. But in your case, please let me know what successes you've had with overclocking and what differences it has made. And if you play Hogwarts, does it make this much of a difference? Because, I went from kind of potato to super potato to, pretty decent. Not the greatest, but pretty decent for a 5500 XD and a 5700 G. Using 2-year-old tech just suits my budget, and that's how that works. Let me know, like I said, leave comments down below and let me know if you've had any successes. But, as you can see, that was much better with it being just standard clocked and rather than overclocked. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you guys for liking, commenting, subscribing, and joining me today. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.